My name is Ed Poole and I'm a Green Party activist and I'm interviewing Green Party candidates for the local elections. Today, I'm speaking to Cristiana Mirosanu, who is running in Leeds in Chapel Allerton ward. Hi, Cristiana.
Good to see you, Ed.
Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running?
My name is Cristiana Mirosanu. I came to the UK about 14 years ago. So I grew up in Romania just after the fall of the communist dictatorship. And I've seen firsthand the ill effects of privatization. It's very accelerated. A lot of people's lives were ruined as part of that. And then moving to the UK, I'm starting to see some of the similar traits. So very quick privatization of public services, a lot of times behind our backs. So that's a key thing that I want to try to address with the knowledge that I've got. Also, I really like the area that I'm running in. It's very diverse. There's a lot of immigrants in there, so I feel at home, really.
What made you join the Green Party?
The story I'm always telling, when I got my citizenship to become British, I was like, okay, now I can vote in the general elections. Might as well do some research. I hadn't been politically active at all before that. And I looked at the Labour Party, and at that point, it was about 2023. Keir Starmer was the leader of Labour. He'd already gone back on a lot of promises he'd made when he ran for leadership of the Labour Party. So I was looking into alternatives. I didn't really want to go to the Tories because they were very anti-immigrant. So that clearly directly would have affected me. So I was like, okay, what is there more to the left? And I found the Greens. I joined on a fluke almost and said, I'll go to the first meeting, see what it's like, see what the people are doing. And then they kind of got me involved more and more. They said, oh, a new activist. Come and join us on a leafleting session. Come and join us on a door knocking session. And I said, okay, I'll give it a go, see what it's like, and became more and more involved that way.
Why do you think people should vote for the Green Party?
I think at the moment, it's the only credible alternative to the major parties because the Green Party actually listens to local people, ordinary people. We talk about the bread and butter issues and we try to address the root causes of those, not scapegoating different groups in society. So we talk about cost of living, housing issues, transport, the things that affect people most in their daily lives, workers' rights. I think people really like that. And we do it so well because we keep in contact all the time with regular people by door knocking, by speaking to residents. I really like this approach of democratically understanding what people are facing, what's their day-to-day problems, and then coming up with practical solutions together of how we can resolve it, not from the top, but together with the people who are most affected by them. So I think people relate to us in that way and they see that we relate to them. It builds a trusted relationship. I think that's really, really powerful.
What do you think the limits of electoral politics are?
This is only one pillar. So my theory is that we need to look at all different elements of society to bring about change. So one is electoral politics. We will elect leaders who we think are going to further our values and resolve some of the issues. But people have lost faith in electoral politics. They've seen so many generations, government after government, come in and say, promise one thing and then not deliver on it, get captured by corporate interests and then work for those instead of for regular people. The other pillars that we need to really build on are communities. So how do we get back community cohesion? This is something that we've lost over the years, and Thatcher is probably the one who triggered this and popularized it. So with the skills that we've got as a Green Party, we really need to look at rebuilding communities. So using our door knocking and relationship building skills to bring people together from a community to work and empower them to solve issues. Then there's trade unions. So they're really important to understanding what matters to workers, what problems they've got in employment, and building up their solidarity and innovative ideas of how we can solve problems in society. And then there's culture. So something that the right wing is quite good at. They've permeated culture with their ideas. How do we now do this from the left wing as well? Because change has to kind of build up into society before the leaders can do it at a legislative level.
How well do you think the Greens can do?
Locally, our ambition in Leeds is to become the opposition, if not at this election in 2026, and definitely in 2027, and then to become majority by 2028. So we definitely stand a really good chance. We've expanded our campaigns a lot compared to what we used to do in previous years because we are seeing the support at the local level. We've got more candidates coming forward as well who are popular. At a national level, I think we've got a really good chance again to be in government by the next election, either in a coalition. Maybe we'll not get the majority, but I think we've got a really good chance with the way the polls are going. And the latest poll saying that we're ahead. If you look at the percentages, there's like 0.4 ahead for the first time. So I think if we keep building on that, and more people hear our message, I think that's really key to make sure we reach as many people as possible with our message.
In recent years, we've seen increasing rise of the far right with Reform getting leads in the polls, people climbing up lamp posts to put up flags. We've seen racist riots on the streets, and we've seen politicians demonising trans people and immigrants. What do you think we can do to combat the rise of the far right?
In the past, you've had people who are more socially conservative who were able to be brought to vote for left-leaning parties who had left economic policies because they could see that that would improve their lives. It would have a substantial effect on their livelihoods. But the left in the past 10 years, let's say, has just focused on the social progressive aspect. So that's putting off the social conservatives who might be voting for economic left policies. This is what we really need to focus on. And this is what Zach's been doing brilliantly. And the Green Party has those policies within it already. It's just about us making the message more popular. Our policies are going to actually improve people's lives. Then on the other hand, with addressing those messages of hate, this is some work I'm doing through my trade union as well. We've got a campaign about challenging narratives of the far right. So doing education in workplaces, talking to regular people and about how it's affecting them. There are companies where I've heard they have open forums where they discuss how are flags being put up affecting you in your day-to-day lives. And it's really opening up some very honest conversations about how people are perceiving this. Some have fear about it, others think it's justified. So really bringing them together in a room to come to a consensus about what should be done next.
What are the challenges for the Green Party in the north of England?
I think the big challenge for the party all over the country is the growth that it's had. The exponential growth that we've had is difficult to keep up and to train people to the level where they would be activists going out on their own and managing campaigns or speaking to residents. This is a problem I'm facing with my own campaign. Well, it's not a bad problem, it's a good problem to have, I guess, because I'm having so many new people coming in who are keen to help. They're very enthusiastic, but they've never done door knocking before, or they've never done leafleting before. So this is something that we need to keep having a gentle approach to, so we don't put them off, because sometimes you might have challenging conversations on the doorstep. Besides the quick growth in the party, I think the other issues in the north is the lack of infrastructure. It kind of mirrors the country's infrastructure differences between the south and the north. So we really need to build up that with the northern parties as well. And I think with the infusion of new members and enthusiasm, we can do that, but it's going to take some time.
We're both quite active in Greens Organise. Can you tell me why you think it's important to have an eco-socialist voice within the Green Party?
So at the moment, I've just been elected as co-convener of the North and West Yorkshire branch of Greens Organise. For me, as a democratic socialist, I think it's very important that we build up the democratic culture in the local parties in the North and West Yorkshire area. We have very good, as an institution, as a Green Party, we have very good structures and procedures in place, but we often see that the democratic culture of people enacting those policies is missing. So we want to really work on political education, and that was the topic that was most discussed at both meetings that we've had for our branch. How do we do more political education? If people are about to come into power or are already in power, how do they understand that? How do they wield that power? How do they distribute it to the people who have less power? How do they take the voices of the residents and push them up into town hall meetings? Also, what we want to have a go at trying with Greens Organize is to see how we can help the parties open up their selections more to the public. We can make it more of a popular event for a community or a ward or even a city where it gets broadcast live, people have lively debates. A lot of times nowadays hustings are quite like a closed room, only a few people attending who are quite keen into politics, but we need to make it more of an entertaining discussion to participate in, so we can have as many and as diverse voices as possible being involved.
I was one of the contributors to the political education thing for Greens Organised, the Eco Socialist Essentials. So hopefully I hope it's good. Very good report.
I haven't had a chance to join any of those yet, just because of campaigning. But yeah, we're really keen to do some more at a local level to bring people on the journey of why democracy is important and why there's such a deficit in current society, because a lot of people think, oh, well, but we vote, so that's a one and done, it's democratic. But is it really, when we've got so many people supporting left-wing policies? I'd heard some statistics of like 60-70% of people support left-wing politics and economic policies, yet the government does right-wing economic policies. So that surely isn't democratic.
No, it's definitely needs work.
Yeah.
My main job on the Eco Socialist Essentials writing that was to take out all the words like dialectical materialism that people have put in and try and replace them with English that normal people would understand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. We need to make these things accessible, because even for me, some of these words, I don't understand them. We just need to put it in the day-to-day language that people use.
Yeah, there was so much. It's so easy. Socialists, I know, people who read a lot of books, they read a lot of history, they read a lot of politics and economics and stuff, and they all these words that aren't part of most people's language creep in, and they're used in quite specific ways, and it's like nobody understands what
Yeah.
what sectarianism means, what you're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
So
Anyway,
yeah, it helps because I have quite a technical job, but I have to explain it to non-technical people in the company what it means, what my findings mean. So I've had a lot of practice at taking out the very specific jargon and replacing it with something that's maybe like an analogy to daily life.
yeah, same. I work in the NHS, and done a lot of time working in complaints where you have to explain weird, complex processes to patients in ways that they're hopefully going to understand what happened. We've seen local council funding get absolutely gutted by the Conservatives over the last 15 years, and Labour have not really done much to fix that. How can Green Party councillors fight back against austerity?
So one of the ideas that I'm really keen on and that I'm campaigning on is we need to retarget that austerity, not to the regular people, but to the companies that are completely fleecing our councils and NHS and so on. Everything's being privatized behind our backs. And how this has happened is through these narratives of, oh, yeah, but public services are very inefficient, so let's just give it to a company to run, to a private company. They could do it better, surely. I've worked for 9-10 years with some of the biggest companies in the UK, and I can tell you they are some of the most inefficient organizations that you've ever seen, just purely due to their size. It's not necessarily management doing. It's just the bigger the company gets, the more inefficient it will be. So besides paying for the service, then we are paying for their marketing department, we're paying for their IT and finance department, we're paying for the profits of the shareholders. Surely we can cut those out and just hire local people and local businesses to do those jobs. So that would be one of the key things that I want to do, is to look at the contracts that the council has and see what can we need and whatever overheads they've got to run the company. So yeah, I'm sure there will be more like that. And having worked in my career with a lot of companies and looking at the IT contracts that they have, I see that the spend that Leeds City Council has on IT is huge. Not just the licenses, but also the consultants that come in to maintain those systems. So again, I think there's a lot there that we can reduce. The other bits, what we've seen other councils do really well is issuing eco bonds, so people could put their savings and invest in the council's project. So councils then use that money for insulation, solar panels, reducing bills directly for regular people. That will have a clear impact to improve people's lives, and it's another source of funding that we can use. I'm sure there's other innovative ways. We just need to get people in the room, and we've got that in our membership, to think together. How can we bring more sources of revenue, of income to the council? And then how do we use that efficiently, not just give it away to corporations?
What issues locally do you think are important in this election?
So from speaking to residents, and we've spoken to hundreds so far, the key things that they are affected by is housing. So we've seen a lot of areas where there were houses turned into flats. The density of the population there is very high, but then the amenities haven't kept up. Landlords are not maintaining properties. There's crumbling infrastructure. And even for this is applicable for social housing as well. The council is not doing any better at maintaining their properties. So this is a key area that we need to tackle. There's policies that we're pushing around landlord licensing, making sure that landlords respect regulations around maintaining the properties, making sure there's ethical collection of council debt, not using private bailiffs who, again, will take profits. Then the second issue is around littering and fly tipping. There's a lot of it on the roads and the pavements, but also in the parks. There's nothing worse than trying to go out in a park at the weekend to have a relax and then seeing there's bottles everywhere and packaging and so on. So for this, we've started tackling it ourselves by building local groups of litter pickers. There were some groups in the more wealthy areas of the ward, but we've expanded throughout the ward to have teams that regularly meet, clean a park or a green space or a street, then have a social afterwards. So it's a nice community building as well. The third issue is around transport. So in Leeds, we've had bus schedules being reduced more and more every year. Buses are less frequent. A lot of times they get cancelled. When you're going to the bus stop and you see, 2, 3 have been cancelled in a row. I made a joke even that we should ask Uber to give us data about how many people call an Uber from a bus stop, because they've probably gone there, seen their bus was cancelled or heavily delayed, and then they call a taxi. So for this, we really need to push the West Yorkshire Combined Authority to improve service. I know they're trying to nationalise the service, but again, there's issues there, and there's really good campaign group, Better Buses for West Yorkshire, that are pressuring local authorities, and us Greens, we're really supporting them. Because the bus franchising is being done by the ex-CEO of First Bus. So, of course, they'll probably try to give more contracts to their mates because, that's how the world works at the moment. And the last policy is around access to healthy food. So one side of this is school meals. A lot of schools that give out school meals don't allow kids to bring food from home. So they have to purchase food that's sometimes unhealthy, again, for the profits of the catering companies. And this is what residents have been telling me on the doorstep. It's ridiculous to have their child not be able to bring a packed lunch. They have to buy something from the school. So we really need to push for free school meals. Hopefully some of the savings we would make from cutting corporate contracts would pay for this. And then making sure that we have community orchards and community gardens throughout. Again, in the more wealthy areas of the ward, there are already community orchards, but in the less wealthy areas, there's really not much in that. And again, there's a lot of appetite, loads of people who said they would be interested in taking on these sorts of projects.
I'm used to London because I'm from London. The buses are usually quite good in London. And I came to Potts Bar, which is not that far outside London, but it's outside sort of transport for London area. And during COVID. I went to get my appointment for my COVID jab, and I was working from home obviously most of the time. So I went out to get the bus, and they were once every half an hour, and like the next two were cancelled. So there was supposed to be like 1:30, and there wasn't another one until like 2:30. My appointments are like 2:15. It's just like I can't get like.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's loads of people in that situation where they need to be somewhere, they don't have access to their own transport, and they've got to
yeah.
be somewhere by a certain time. The buses are just, firstly, they're running once every half an hour, which is obscene, but
Yeah,
then they can be cancelled, regularly get cancelled as well. So you could be waiting an hour and a half for a bus. It's just wild. For someone
yeah.
from London, where like if I used to be furious if I had to wait 10 minutes for a bus in London.
Here it's the same. It's regularly now half an hour wait, and in some areas it's once every hour that they have a bus, which is ridiculous. And that gives makes us issues with campaigning as well because we can't get to wherever we need to go because we've got campaigns in quite disparate parts of the city.
What do you love about Leeds?
Ever since I moved, I've been able to really easily find communities for the things that I liked. So initially, I got involved in my local knitting group, and then I got involved with cleaning up green spaces, so litter pigs. And then I got involved with um, community gardening. So it's really easy to find things depending on your hobbies. And there's such a diverse community here that there's something for everyone to find. I've been able to learn so much about other cultures by participating in events, either put on by the city council or just put on by the local communities, loads of festivals. And I don't mean just the music festivals, but the community festivals where you sit and eat with people and learn about their culture. I think particularly this is true of the ward that I'm running in Chapel Allerton, and it's such a cool area as well because there's so many people involved in the arts. There's arts uni near there, and a lot of students live there. There's a dance school, so there's always a lot of events that are going on: music, dancing, debates, presentations. Yeah, there's something for everyone. So it made it really easy to build that community and feel like you belong and you're settled into a space because yeah, when I moved here I didn't really know many people, but through all these activities I could get to know so many people. And of course the Green Party as well has been really helpful at making me feel more at home.
What's your vision for Leeds?
I think I'll start talking about first for Chapel Allerton. I would like to see the same level of care and engagement in all parts of the ward because now it's quite disparate. Some people feel really disengaged, like they've been forgotten about, like their area is not taken care of. They rarely see anything from the politicians or their representatives. So I would like to make sure that everyone feels like they've got an equal amount of representation and they're being taken care of. I think looking at Leeds wide as well, this is probably true to extend it to Leeds because there's quite pockets of really good practices and really good communities, but then other areas that just feel disillusioned with what's going on. Some people are being put off from voting or engaging with their community at all. They're just kind of isolating because of this. They've become very apathetic. So I'm hoping with more Greens winning, with our policies and what we want to implement, and also the actions that we're trying to do to rebuild community, this should help with those feelings.
And how can people get involved in your campaign?
We have an Instagram channel, Chapel Allerton Greens, where we post our events regularly, but people can get in touch with me directly through social media and join the Green Party. I think Zach has shared the Join the Green Party link a million times this year, so it's pretty easy to find. But yeah, we've been getting a big surge of new members, but there's never enough for how many doors we need to knock. Just to get an idea, we have about 10, 11,000 addresses in the ward where I'm running. So we need to try to speak to every resident at least once a year. So we're going all around the year campaigning, and we need as many people as can help, even for 1 hour a week. It's brilliant.
For people who don't want to door knock, is there stuff to do as well?
Yeah, of course. So we've got leafleting. So leafleting can be done whenever people have free time. Then there's phone banking. So we call up members to get them activated. And this can be done, again, from home, remotely. We need people who can analyze data and enter data that we've gathered from our different activities. We've got litter picks and green cleanup activities that we do regularly as well. So these are the ones where you can see straight away the impact of your work because you've cleaned a field, or recently we've done a path cleanup as well, because when we were out campaigning, we slipped on the path. It was so mucky. There were fallen leaves, mud. So we just got our gardening tools and said, okay, let's clean this path for one of our activities. And people really like that. They really resonate with this at a local level. And there's more coming and joining us all the time because they see our work.
Christiana, thank you.
Thank you.